All right, Shalom. First and foremost, want to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who teach, lead, and rule well. Peace, love, salutations to you, faithful Akim, pushing the word in true sincerity. And Shalom to the few sisters who listen and subscribe to the doctrine of the men of Great Millstone. I just wanted to go into this article. I had mentioned it in the camp last week, but I just wanted to take this time to go into a little bit more in depth and connect it with a few precepts. So, Lord willing, you're edified. This is from the New York Times, dated October 1st, 2017, and it's titled, "Trump Says Tillerson is Wasting His Time on North Korea." It says, President Trump undercut his own Secretary of State on Sunday, calling his effort to open lines of communication with North Korea a waste of time, and seeming to rule out a diplomatic resolution to the nuclear-edged confrontation with Pyongyang. A day after Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said he was reaching out to Pyongyang in hopes of starting a new dialogue, Mr. Trump belittled the idea and left the impression that he was focused mainly on military options. Mr. Trump was privately described by advisors as furious at Mr. Tillerson for contradicting the president's public position that now is not the time for talks. I told Rex Tillerson, our wonderful Secretary of State, that he is wasting his time trying to negotiate with Little Rocket Man, Mr. Trump wrote on Twitter, using the derogatory nickname he has assigned to Kim Jong-un, the North Korean leader. Save your energy, Rex, he added. We'll do what has to be done. So you can already see that, Trump, man, he's ready. He's ready and he's gearing up for war, man. He's tired of talking. He wants to go ahead and do the damn thing. While some analysts wondered if the president was intentionally playing bad cop to the secretary's good cop, veteran diplomats said they could not remember a time when a president undermined his Secretary of State so brazenly in the midst of a tense situation. And the episode raised fresh questions about how long Mr. Tillerson would remain in his job. Which it don't really matter if he stays or if he goes. The elites are gonna do what they want. They're gonna get it done, man. But real quick, I'm gonna go into a couple precepts. I'm gonna go start off in Mark 3 and 24. Mark 3 and 24. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. Because that's what's really happening. You have the Edomites in America. Then you also have the Edomites in Russia, man. And they're fighting these two separate groups of Edomites. They're fighting to try to gain control of this kingdom. Because Esau, the so-called white man, is in control of the earth at the moment, on earth, not spiritually, because of course Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai's control ultimately. But, the power has been given into the hand of these so-called white men, the Edomites, and they're fighting for dominance of the kingdom. And it says, verse 25, and if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand, because they're not unified. They are gearing up for war on both sides, whether it's Russia teaming up with the Moabites or the so-called Chinese, and then they're trying to reunify the Eastern European states or countries, and expand trade into the western parts of Europe and also into the Middle East through Iran, lately through Saudi Arabia. Or if it's America, with their allies in Western Europe and their alliances with the Ammonites or the so-called Japanese, their connections to the state of Israel, not the Israelites, but the state of Israel. They're a house pretty much divided, and like Yahweh Shai said in Mark 3 and 25, and if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And you can go into 26. And if Satan rise up against himself, which, these Satan, another word for Satan being adversary, these heathen nations, and especially these Edomites, they are the natural spiritual adversaries of the Israelites. The Israelites consisting of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, which he is, he cannot stand, but hath an end. Because this is all going to end up in a massive world war. The World War III, that the scriptures has written about and is prophesied. That's when that's when all this madness is going to end, man. And it's going to end off with those thermonuclear missiles being fired off, and a lot of death and bloodshed. But that's what these people are sowing. They're sowing their own destruction. Just kind of going to Rex Tillerson a little more. It says a former chief executive, I believe he was a CEO, a former chief executive of ExxonMobil with no prior government experience, Mr. Tillerson has been deeply frustrated and has told associates that he tries to ignore the president's Twitter blasts, but these would be hard to disregard as Mr. Tillerson returned from China, where he was trying to enlist more support from North Korea's primary trading partner and political patron. And rereading that kind of makes me think that Tillerson, who he does have ties and connections with multiple countries, I would say the heads of multiple countries, because he has ran a huge multi-nation conglomerate, a company, ExxonMobil. That's it's a big company, man, that has, it's going to obviously have connections in a lot of countries around the world. So he went to China trying to gain support, trying to get the Chinese to kind of step up more in controlling North Korea, because they have a natural connection as far as trade. But the Trumpster, he has a whole different idea of how to attack North Korea, or how to subdue North Korea. He wants to go ahead and just do it with the military. And Tillerson's trying to buy time and trying to prevent that and trying to be more diplomatic about it. It may be intended as a good cop, bad cop strategy, but the tweet is so over the top that it undercuts Tillerson, said Sue Terry, a former Korea analyst at the CIA and in National Security Council. It's hard to imagine any other president speaking in this manner. Let's see. And for that, I'm just going to go ahead and just grab another precept real quick. Yeah. Actually, read down a little bit more. It says, indeed, I did skip a couple paragraphs, but I'll probably just go ahead and put the link in the description. So if you want to read then the article in its entirety, you can do so. But it says, indeed, several hours after his initial tweets, Mr. Trump seemed to preclude the possibility that the time might ever be ripe without laying out his own preferred strategy. Being nice to Rocket Man hasn't worked in 25 years. Why would it work now, he wrote, evidently referring not just to Mr. Kim, who took over 6 years ago, but also his father and his grandfather. I don't even feel like saying their names. The nation's founder. Clinton failed, Bush failed, and Obama failed. I won't fail. And the thing about it is, if this guy decides to go and, initiate World War III, doesn't matter what the hell he says, he in America is prophesied to fail, man. And a big part of their downfall is going to be that pride. And the precept I'm going to grab to correlate with that is going to be Proverbs 29 and 23. A man's pride shall bring him low, because the pride of these Edomites, man, these so-called white people, ultimately is going to bring them low, because it's going to draw them into war, a world's war, in which they're going to lose. But on the back end of that precept, it says, but honor shall uphold the humble in spirit. And I'm going to try to get this on my phone. Sometimes the Bluetooth is a little slow on this phone. But if I can't get it on the phone, I can get it on my computer really quick. Because it goes into, let me see. Right, yeah, I can't. It's just quicker for me to get it on my computer. But in that precept, Proverbs 29 and 23, let's pull up the interlinear and looked up the word honor. It says, but honor shall uphold the humble in spirit. And humble in spirit, that honor is going to uphold is going to be the elect. Starting with the 144,000, the 12,000 from the various 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, and then the 1/3. That honor is gonna uphold, Lord willing, me and us, through all this destruction. And the word there for honor is let's see. It's
Strong's H 3519. Kavod.
It's it's H 3519, kabod. And there it says glory, honor, glorious, riches, splendor, glory, reputation, reverence. So pretty much who you give glory to, that's what's going to uphold the humble in spirit through all this madness and through all this war. And for that, I wanted to tie that to Jeremiah 9. Because yeah, a lot of people are marked, are predestined and will be marked for death. But at the same time, there's going to be a lot of souls that are going to be saved through all that destruction, And Jeremiah 9 and 23, it says, thus says the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom, neither let the mighty man glory in his might. Let not the rich man glory in his riches. Verse 24. But let him that glorieth glory in this, that he understandeth and knoweth me, that I am the Most High, which exercise loving kindness, judgment, and righteousness in the earth. For in these things I delight, saith the Most High. So as we are walking day to day, and as we get closer and closer to the oncoming war, destruction, calamity, and eventually the salvation, this is what we have to glory in. We have to glory in the fact that the Spirit of the Lord is working with us, that is helping us to understand and know the Most High, you know what I'm saying? And to trust in Him that if we live righteously and pretty much conform our lives to the best of our ability to the book, that He's going to exercise loving kindness, judgment, and righteousness, and He's going to allow us to be saved through all the oncoming destruction. But I'm gonna read a little bit more of the article. North Korea has provoked a conflict with the United States and its Asian allies in recent weeks with the 6th test of a nuclear bomb and its first successful test of intercontinental ballistic missiles that could potentially deliver a warhead to the United States mainland. Mr. Trump has responded by vowing to totally destroy North Korea if forced to defend the United States or its allies, while ratcheting up economic pressure through sanctions. And the thing about it is, these other nations, China, more specifically China and Russia, they aren't going to just openly allow Trump or the U.S. to just destroy North Korea and get that close to them, because the one a big advantage that they have right now, or something that they have to their advantage right now, is the distance between the United States mainland and their mainland. The coast and the lands of China and Russia. Trump and the elites, they're pretty much trying to make North Korea seem to be a big problem, because that's going to enable them to get closer and more in striking distance, I guess is a good way to say, of China and of Russia. So you better believe that even if the United States tries to declare war on North Korea and tries to physically go ahead and attack them, that China and Russia aren't just going to sit on their hands while the U.S. does that. They're going to either defend North Korea, which that's what I believe is more likely going to happen, or if they do try to attack North Korea and gain any ground, they're going to go ahead and say, you know what, it's just time for us to go ahead. We've already been expecting war with the U.S. It's time for us to go ahead and just do the damn thing and attack the United States on the back end. So let me see. And then this is more continuation of Tillerson and Trump not being on the same page. Mr. Tillerson told reporters traveling with him in Beijing on Saturday that he was seeking a diplomatic solution. We are probing, so stay tuned, he said. For the first time, he disclosed that the United States had 2 or 3 channels to Pyongyang asking, would you like to talk? Therefore, he said, we're not in a dark situation, a blackout. Okay, let me see. So, but so with all this is in essence a form of theater, like I don't want to say proxy, but this isn't the main conflict that the United States and the elites are worried about. This is just something that they kind of have presented before the people so they can actually set up themselves, to possibly attack the Asian countries. But really the main thing on their mind is the state of Israel and what's going on in the Middle East. So this is a form of political theater, but like I said, it's not even the main component of what's going to go down to begin World War III. And to prove that, we're going to go to Jeremiah 50 and 45. And it says, therefore, hear ye the counsel of the Most High, that he have taken against Babylon, and his purposes that he have proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. And to be just blunt, one of the main purposes of America and so-called United States was to show as a sign to the Israelites, to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, to put those signs on you to show you that you are the chosen people of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Whether it's the slaughter and massacre of the Native Americans, through warfare, biological warfare, assimilation into the so-called American philosophy, with the Northern Kingdom, in South America, and also like Issachar, the people who were in Hispaniola, whether it's Manasseh or Benjamin, Levi, Ephraim, Also to show as a sign to your so-called Negroes, as far as pursuant to Deuteronomy 28 and 68 of you being brought over from the west coast of Africa, to serve captivity in this land. One of the big purposes of Babylon, the Great America, is to show us a sign to our people who we are. Continue on. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. So, like I said, with everything that's going on in North Korea, it's really a form of political theater, because the main point of contention now and until we're saved and put back in that land is that land of Israel, because that is the Most High's chosen land, designated land for His people, and the elites of Esau, the so-called Edomites, the so-called Illuminatis, and the international banking families, they're trying to insert themselves as a true people of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, well, as a true people of the Most High, and trying to take that birthright back to place themselves, to try to fit privacy, to try to place themselves in that land. So it says, surely the least of the flock will draw them out. And the least of the flock is Amalek, the so-called Jews that are trying to settle that land and that are spread throughout the four corners. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. So even with all that, it don't matter, man. They're gonna end up being judged in that land that they tried to steal. But real quick, man, I had to get this, man, because this was funny as hell, man. All right, it says, I'm gonna read this last paragraph, then I'm gonna go ahead and close out. It says, there have been no indications that Mr. Kim is any more interested in talks than Mr. Trump. He has responded to the president's threats with more of his own, castigating Mr. Trump as a, quote, mentally deranged U.S. dotard, man. Called a guy goddamn dotard, and suggesting through his foreign minister that he might order the first atmospheric nuclear test the world has seen in 37 years. But man, I had to look at that word dotard up, man. And it is funny as hell, man. So dotard, this is dictionary.com. It says a person, especially an old person, exhibiting a decline in mental faculties, a weak-minded or foolish person. So it's like, damn, man, like, here it is. The United States has, for over all these years, built up, a certain amount of power and influence in the world. And you got the leader of North Korea, man, coming up against the president of the so-called United States. And it just goes to show you that the so-called white man is losing power and influence, especially the American Edomite. These leaders of the leaders of these countries know that America's on a decline. They know the enormous amounts of debt that this country has ran up. They know that there's no way for the Americans to pay that debt back. But on the flip side, with the earth still being controlled by Edomites, they are attaching themselves to the rising power of the nation of Israel, of the nation of Edom, which are the Russians. Vlad Putin, man, he's together, man. He knows how to run a tight ship, and he's been doing that for years now. And he's done for his country. He's done a great job, and it has to be the Spirit of the Lord working with him to do this, of getting that country out of debt, increasing their production, even through all types of sanctions, and pretty much NATO and other countries trying to restrict their trade. But he's getting to the point now that he has so much momentum built up with Russia that these other countries are falling in line, with the Russian way. So you have a country as small as North Korea, or a leader of a country as small as North Korea, who feels so confident that he's on the right side that he's calling, the president of the U.S. a fucking dotard, man. And that's funny as hell, man. And that to us, that's great news, man, because America's on a decline. America will be destroyed, and Lord willing, we're gonna be of that number to get salvation out of this fucking place, man. But with that, Lord willing, you were edified. Once again, I want to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who teach, lead, and rule well. Peace, love, citation to you, faithful Akim, pushing the word and truth with sincerity. And until next time, Shalom.